Before you became a professional bass player, you had another passion that you pursued heavily. What was that?
So actually I was a gymnast for about 7, maybe 8 years, and I loved it. It was my biggest passion. But I got to about 6th grade and I realized that I wanted to do something else, so I picked music, and I'm really glad I did.
As a gymnast, that takes a lot of discipline. How does that help you as a bass player?
It helps a tremendous amount. You know, you have to work on a skill for 6 months sometimes, and it really taught me to be determined and to not give up. And I think that really does help, because if I can't play a bass line, I will get up at 4 o'clock in the morning and I will bust my butt trying to get it.
You've been described as having a really strong work ethic. How does that translate to your music, and how does it affect other members in your band?
I have one goal, and it's to improve every single day. I will never go a single day without playing my bass or without singing. And I think it really does show through in my music, because I am so young and I have worked really hard to get to the point where I am today. And I think it also really improves the performance of my band, because I come in prepared, I know my parts, and my band really does their job too.
How is Abby K now different from Abby K a year and a half ago?
A year and a half ago, I was playing in a small club in my hometown, and I was lucky to have 2 people show up that weren't my parents. And now, you know, I'm playing Baltimore, I'm playing all over the Carolinas, and it's really incredible for me to see how far I've come in a year. And it really is going back to the work ethic. I've put in the work, and I'm still putting in the work, and it's really kind of starting to pay off.
You just released your second single. It's called Dirty Love. For anyone that has not heard it, how would you describe it?
I always say this on stage before I play it. I have 2 things that you need to know before you hear the song. One is that it's a song about a toxic relationship that you just can't get out of. And number 2, it rocks.
I notice you dress in all black. Does that apply to your socks?
Actually, I have a superstition about socks on stage. I have to wear one AC/DC sock and one plain color sock, and never a sock with an animal on it.
That's awesome.
Things have really picked up in the world of Abby K. You have 2 songs out now, and the coronavirus hits. How has that affected you, and what do you plan to do about it?
The coronavirus has affected a lot of musicians, but it hasn't impacted me that much yet. I do have a show in New Jersey and Pennsylvania in a few weeks, and those are still on, but it is kind of far out. I'm not sure what will happen. If they are canceled, I'm going to take this time to be in the studio, record a lot of new music, and really up my social media game.
If you can't play live shows, how do you plan to interact with your fans?
Right now, live streaming is really big on Instagram and Facebook. I've seen a lot of bands that had to cancel tours. They would do a virtual concert instead, and you know, just a stripped down performance and then a live question and answer kind of thing. And I think that's a really good idea. I actually am kind of considering doing that myself.
This just in. Dirty Love is number 2 on the playlist of 97 Underground in Baltimore. Baltimore has really embraced you. How did that happen?
Honestly, I don't know where it all started, but my first song, It Should Have Been Me, got on the rotation in Baltimore on 97 The Underground, and it started as just a track to watch, and it ended up getting to the number 1 spot on the power rotation, and they've been so supportive of me. So we gave them Dirty Love actually before it was released, and it's already made its way to number 2, and we've followed that up with a performance in Baltimore, and I think we'll be going back pretty soon.
I recently heard in interviews that you had good music put on your iPod when you were a kid, and it was called The Good Stuff. Who is it that said that, and what does it mean?
So when I was around 5 years old, I wanted to be like my sister, and she would have Taylor Swift and Justin Bieber put on her iPod, so of course I wanted that too. And my dad would give it to us in exchange for what he called the good stuff. So I got Taylor Swift and I got Iron Maiden and Justin Bieber and Metallica. And that's really how I formed a love for rock music.
Knowing a little bit about you, I know you are really shy. Your parents have also spoken that you are ultra shy. Having seen you on stage, you are not shy. How did that change happen? How did shy Abby become Abby K on bass, the rocker in your face?
So my manager, Eddie Z, and I actually call that the light switch effect. I'll be off stage, I'll just be keeping to myself, doing my hair and makeup, and once it's done, it's like I'm a whole new person. I'm Abby K, and I get on stage, and I really don't understand how it happens, but I really come alive, and I just feel like that's where I should be.
Some people, artists in particular, define success differently. They want record sales, they want big houses, they want money, they want to be famous. All that's okay, to each his own. But what's your definition of success?
My definition of success is an experience. A lot of people would define it with a number, but I want to tour internationally, play on a huge stage to a sold-out crowd, and have every single audience member sing my songs back to me. When I experience that for the first time, I consider myself successful.
Currently, you have 2 songs out. It Should Have Been Me, which came out last year, and Dirty Love, which came out this year. What's next for Abby K?
Right now, we are finishing recording my 3rd song. It's called Rock the Rock, and we are planning to have it out in May or June. And I also just wrote another song. I love it a lot. It's called I Don't Fight, I Just Win. And I think, especially with, the things going on right now, I think we're going to really focus on releasing new music. So who knows, maybe it'll be before May or June.
Many years ago, I read in Guitar Player magazine where they interviewed Nuno Betancourt, the guitar player from Extreme. They asked him how his home life had changed with his success now that his songs were worldwide. He answered, "It really hasn't changed at all. Now at dinner, I get the biggest pork chop." How has success changed at home for Abby K? As I don't think you eat pork chops.
I do not eat pork chops, no. It really hasn't changed my home life. My parents do a really good job of keeping me grounded. I'll be at the studio recording or on stage, and I'll be Abby K, and I'll go home and I have to take out the trash and unload the dishwasher.
How do we reach Abby K, and how do we keep up with all new Abby K developments?
You can find me on all social media at Abby K on Bass, and on my website, abbykonbass.com. Also, you can hear all of my music on every streaming platform worldwide, Spotify, Apple Music. Anywhere you can hear music, you can hear mine.